Hey everyone. Hey everyone, good morning. This is meteorologist Melanie Layden here. It's 11 o'clock, so it's time for our Weather School for Kids segment. We do this every Monday through Friday at 11 o'clock, and want to start off outside here on the decks. It's such a beautiful day. Today's lesson is going to be about rainbows. I've been trying to think of new topics to come up with, and I thought today's would be appropriate because we had a lot of rain yesterday, but a lot of sunshine today, and those are two things that you need to form rainbows. So we're going to talk about how they're formed, what it actually is. Rainbows actually aren't real. They're actually an optical illusion that you see in the sky from sun and water. So we're going to talk about what forms a rainbow, how you can see them in the sky after a rainy day and when the sun finally comes out. And we'll talk a little bit more about how rainbows are characterized. They're actually not what you think. It's not really an arch, and there's that myth about a pot of gold at the end of them. We'll talk about that as well. And I have a couple of pictures to show you along the way too. So I hope you can join along with me as we get going here. And we'll talk about today's lesson on rainbows. And feel free to ask questions in the comments and I'll read them and get back to you. And also this stays up on our Facebook page and on our News 4 website and app. So if you have a question that you think of later, leave a comment. I can see it later and answer it for you on Facebook as well. All right, let's get started here. Show you a picture to start off here this morning, and this one is a rainbow. You can totally see my reflection in this too. So let me try to move away from the sun so you can get a better look at it. All right, here we go. All right, there's the rainbow here. That's what we're gonna talk about today. And we got a lot of people tuning in right now. The more people that tune in, we'll get started with the lesson. But to start, we'll talk about how do we actually see rainbows in the sky. Rainbows are actually just rays of color that are formed by the sun. And you know, the sun actually looks white, or I guess yellow you could say sometimes, out in the daylight, but the sunlight is actually made up of all kinds of different colors. It's made up of red, green, yellow, blue, pink. And when that sun passes through rain droplets, that is actually how we see a rainbow. It's when sunlight passes through raindrops, they kind of act like little prisms or crystals, and that's how we actually see the colors in the sky. They're not actually there, but to our eyes, that's what we see. So they actually bend the different colors in that white light, so that's how we see the colors that are reflected back to us here on Earth as a rainbow. And we have all kinds of different rainbows. That's a single one here, but we also have double rainbows, as you can see, and that forms a lot too. And we see that when it's actually a double optical illusion where the sunlight passes through water droplets as well. So pretty cool. You actually see that quite often here, a double rainbow, and it's actually the reversed colors. So you can see here we've got the kind of blues and reds on this side, but the mirror image, the blues and red are on the left side, and then it turns blue. And double rainbows are actually inner and brighter. You get the red on the top, the blue on the bottom there, and the outer and dimmer rainbow has that color scheme reversed. So pretty cool. All right, let's also talk about how rainbows are formed, because this is really interesting. I mentioned to you a little bit earlier how it's actually really an optical illusion, and these conditions have to be met all in order, and it looks kind of confusing here. I think this little picture does a good job depicting how it's formed. You got to have rain, of course, and you have to have the sun coming right after it. It's got to be raining, and the sun has to be shining right after the rain. And really, we only see a rainbow depending on where you stand. So some people can see a rainbow in the sky in one part of the city, but other people standing in another part of the city may not see it at all. So it really kind of depends on where you are and your eye level. So actually, the lower that the sun is in the sky, the higher that arc the rainbow will be. So you probably will see a bigger rainbow closer towards sunset when the sun's kind of getting a little bit lower versus when you would maybe at, say, lunchtime in the afternoon. So you have to actually be between the sun and the rain to actually see it. And it's kind of formed here. You can see at these 40-degree angles where you are on the ground, the sun has to shine right through those water droplets. And what our eye sees when that happens is actually colors being formed. That's that prism or the rainbow. And it forms a big rainbow over the sky because there's so much rain falling all over and the sun is shining right through it. So that's what causes a huge rainbow to form where multiple people can see it all over the city. But again, it depends on where exactly you're standing. You have to be right in the center of where that rain has just passed away from to where the sun rays are coming in. So you have to be right at the right spot to see it. So that's why rainbows are actually pretty rare and you can't see them all the time. And rainbows, we always see them drawn like this, like a big, half horseshoe, an arc. But they're actually really a full circle. And this is what you can see from space and from the sky. So typically this is what a rainbow actually looks like from a meteorologist standpoint. When we're on the ground, we only see it go from one point to another. We never see it in a full circle. People who actually see it look like this, where this picture was captured from, was from an airline pilot. It was a pilot up in the sky who got to see the complete full circle of the rainbow. So something you really don't hear about often, and I actually too was surprised to hear about that when I went through meteorology school. I never thought that we would see a rainbow come into a complete circle like that in the sky, but that's actually what it looks like from a bird's eye view. So if you get high enough up in the clouds, then you see that rainbow coming to a full circle, but when you're down the horizon, it gets cut off. That's because when the sun and the rain combine together, they're actually making that full circle. And we can't see that because, we're on the ground. It blocks part of our view. But people like pilots and, people who travel up in the sky sometimes can catch these if they're right in the right spot where the rain has already passed through and the sun starts shining. So we talked about double rainbows. When we talked about round rainbows here, what they actually look like. Have you ever heard of a moonbow? Take a look at this. This picture was actually taken at night. I'm getting kind of a big reflection on here. But this picture was taken at night, and there's a rainbow that formed right in the middle of the night sky. And that's really cool because you don't see that very often. That's called a moonbow. They're very, very rare. That picture right there was actually snapped from BBC News. And that was not even in America. I believe this picture was taken in Columbia. Not Columbia, Tennessee, Columbia the country. And it's called a moonbow, and they happen during the night. It's very rare, but it's mostly just after sunset when the sky's just dark enough, but it does the same thing. The moon, if it's just bright enough, can be positioned just right to see a rainbow at night. And the reason why we never see the end of a rainbow, you always hear that kind of saying about how there's a pot of gold at the end. We never see that because there actually is no end of the rainbow. It looks just like that full circle I showed you. And that's why it's an optical illusion to the eye. So there's your little lesson on rainbows. And I'm going to end today's lesson with a little science experiment. So we're going to go outside for this one because anyone can do this at home. This is for kids of all ages. All you need is just a glass of water and a piece of white paper. And this is really cool. And today's a perfect day to do it because we've got so much sunshine outside. So I'm gonna flip the camera. And all we're gonna do is take a white sheet of paper here. I'm gonna put it on the railing of the deck. And then I'm gonna take a glass of water. And you wanna have the water almost full as you can get it. So here I filled up just a plain old glass of water all the way up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it up here to the sun, and I'm going to let the sun pass right through it. So what's going to happen here is we're going to see the sun hit just at the right time to form a rainbow on my piece of paper. So I got to kind of position it and tilt it because, like I said, this is really an optical illusion. You can't really see this too well with the naked eye until it's just right. But if you move your water just so, you can see how that light's coming through. We're seeing the glass reflecting, but right there, I'm barely getting it, a little rainbow. I'm gonna real quickly get my stand and put you on hold real quick. You wanna come be my helper? No, I'm still alive. You wanna be my helper? I need 2 hands for this one, so my boyfriend's gonna come make a cameo appearance on here for me. This is Matt. All right, I need you to hold the camera for me, because I'm doing a science experiment. I can't do it with just one hand. Go water, come over here. I need you to just keep the camera on the piece of paper. I'm gonna try to get a rainbow out of this. So again, if you're watching, what we're doing here is letting the sunlight pass right through the water and kind of tilt the paper until you can find that rainbow. And you gotta do it just right. Okay, you see it right there? See the colors forming? Kind of zoom into that so they can see. And the further away you go, the more you can see it. So we're seeing a couple of colors there. I see some blues and pinks picking up. And this is what's kind of causing a prism effect here. You can't see it? See, he can't see it from his view, but I can see it from mine. So let me see if I can get it this way. I can't do it with one hand. Come right here next to me and hold it. Now I'm just spilling water all over my paper.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, you see it there? So it kind of takes a little bit of a trick there, but a full glass of water really does it. And you kind of want to position your paper a little bit with the sun passing right, there it goes. You see that one? Sort of like a V. It's kind of tricky to form, but right when you get it in the right spot, and that's how kind of hard it is to form a rainbow. You know, it's really just kind of how your eyes are taking in that sunlight passing through the water. So that glass of water is really just acting like your rain droplets and your sun passing through them. See that sun ray right there coming through, and that's what causes the rainbow there on your paper. So you can kind of play around with it. It's kind of hard to do on camera. See that forming right there? There's a little one right there coming out of the glass of water. Right there as the sun's coming out. So fun little science experiments for the kiddos to play with today, and they've got a perfect sunny day for it, so great day to do it. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson on rainbows. We're kind of doing these lessons from home, so they're kind of on the fly, kind of just get things as we go around the house. But every day at 11 o'clock, Monday through Friday, we do a new science experiment for kids, and they're really for all ages, anyone from kindergarten to kids in high school. Today's was really for all ages to do something kind of fun that you can do while you're cooped up at home. But we hope you can tune in every day at 11 o'clock. Myself, Lisa Spencer, Dan Thomas, Laura Bannon, and Cody Murphy. Each day we come up with a lesson. We've done all kinds of cool ones that you can actually go back and watch if you're interested. We've done them on hurricanes, thunderstorms, clouds, and we sometimes will have a fun science experiment tied in with it too. So I hope you had a great time, and we will see you tomorrow at 11. Thanks for tuning in.